Heroes can only ever be good as their villains. The Teen Titans 2003 series has plenty of unique baddies on its roster, but some villains are clearly stronger than others, and we'll be determining which ones stand above the rest. I'm Andrew from Wicked Binge, and we're ranking Teen Titans villains weak to powerful. Here are the ground rules. We obviously can't cover every single villain that appeared in the cartoon. We'll be ranking the most iconic and impactful ones. Similar to the heroes list, weapons or technology will not be a major factor in our ranking unless the character needs them to function. Any particular superpowers, or lack thereof, will be significant in determining a character's strength based on how useful the power is. And like before, we're sticking strictly to what is seen in the 2003 cartoon, so anything that's exclusive in either the Teen Titans Go comics or the 2013 cartoon will not be counted here. We will first cover the weakest villains. These are characters that do have some abilities, but are mostly lacking in terms of power. Starting with the weakest character, we have the Brain. The Brain may be a vile mastermind, but he provides absolutely nothing in terms of strength. He does possess the power to control any machinery and utilize it to his sinister plans, but his intellect is all he has going for him. The Brain depended on his loyal henchmen, Monsieur Mallah and Madame Rouge, for both defense and to attack on his behalf. His mobility is also abysmal, so if an enemy gets close enough, he's done for. The Brain is still a dangerous foe for the Titans, but he is without question the weakest villain in the series. Next up is Professor Chang. Like the Brain, Professor Chang is a genius, but his strength is subpar. Not only does he lack any powers, but his elderly physique makes him even less of a physical threat. That being said, Professor Chang is surprisingly mobile and has a variety of weapons, which primarily stun and imprison his enemies. He may not be physically capable of holding his own in a fight, but at least he can escape and use his tools as a defensive measure. These factors barely give him the advantage over the Brain, but it's enough. Next up is Mad Mod. Mad Mod might not have the same limitations as the Brain or Professor Chang, but he is still just a man. He relies on his robotic soldiers to do his bidding and on his technology for hypnosis, while his cane is used to create holographic illusions. Mad Mod is clearly not a fighter and can be dealt with by even the weakest of Titans. He did once use his cane to absorb Robin's youth to make himself look younger, but there's not really much else to the British villain. Mad Mod's lackluster abilities solidify him as a relatively weak antagonist. Next is Gizmo. Gizmo may be a kid, but his advanced technological intellect cannot be underestimated. His harness is the root of all his mechanical power, as it contains all of his gadgets and equipment that he frequently uses when committing crime. Gizmo is not a skilled fighter by any means and is defenseless without his harness, but his technology does still make him a viable threat, and the fact that he is able to access these abilities in the first place keeps Gizmo from going any lower. Next is Kitten. At first glance, it might seem ridiculous to place Kitten this high. She just seems like an entitled teenager that relies on others to do the dirty work. However, we have to give her major props for being able to fight Starfire on more than one occasion. With this in mind, Kitten seems perfectly capable of defending herself and is physically stronger than the average human. While Kitten does utilize her father's Moth Army to her advantage, her impressive fighting abilities give her an edge over these weaker villains. Next is Johnny Rancid. For the record, we will not be taking into account the powers that Johnny Rancid received while Larry's finger was broken. He has not been able to access similar powers since, so we won't count those enhanced abilities. That being said, Johnny is very good at building sentient machines and is more physically imposing than Gizmo and Kitten. His fighting resume, magical escapade aside, isn't too impressive, but he does just enough to rank this high. Next is Seymour. Seymour's powers stem from his signature helmet with one eye that changes color for each of his many abilities. He can launch bubbles that can defend himself and his teammates, but also imprison their opponents. Seymour can also produce a laser that can cut through solid objects, fly in a balloon that can also spy from above, and presumably even has X-ray vision. Ugh, what a creep. But his lackluster physical abilities suggest that he's not much of a threat on his own, so Seymour can't rank any higher than this. Next up is Control Freak. Control Freak may not be much of a physically dominant villain, but his intellect and remarkable knowledge of digital media make him a force to be reckoned with. His remote control is his greatest asset, as it can turn any object into a living monster for him, enable him to physically access any TV show, and can summon television characters to do his bidding. Control Freak is the living embodiment of an evil nerd, but his own arrogance always leads to his inevitable defeat. He's not much of a fighter either, but his advanced technological skill keeps him from going any lower. Next is Adonis. Now, it might seem that Adonis deserves a higher ranking based on his fighting experience with the Titans and the strength of his suit. However, we are docking major points based on the fact that he is pathetically weak without it. Not only that, but he has shown to be affected from being kicked on his suit's foot, which barely makes any sense. Frankly, Adonis's weaknesses are too glaring, and his over-reliance on the suit prevents him from being ranked any higher. The last villain in this tier is Overload. Unlike the other major villains, physical strength isn't Overload's main ability. Rather, his strength is centered squarely on his electric prowess. Overload can manipulate electricity to his liking and control any device that utilizes it as a power source. However, his greatest weakness is obviously water, so it isn't really difficult to defeat him. And Overload hasn't been able to be much of a threat to the Titans on his own, as he needed the help of Slade, Cinderblock, and Plasmus. In this next tier, we will cover the villains with average power. They're a lot more powerful than the average person, but are not among the strongest villains. Starting off this tier, we have Killer Moth. Killer Moth's abilities center both on his big moth body and his mental control over his mutant moths. As a moth himself, he is capable of flying using his wings, and he can cling to walls with no issue. Killer Moth is shown to be a skilled fighter, but he doesn't necessarily dominate his opponents. His moth army is his most powerful asset, and they essentially do most of the fighting, which doesn't say much about his own physical power. Killer Moth is certainly a capable antagonist, but he's not really a powerful one. Next is Warp. Warp may be able to use his suit to travel through time, but he doesn't really utilize the concept to the fullest. His suit can also withstand both physical damage and energy attacks, while also being equipped with several gadgets. But Warp isn't much of a fighter, and his intellect is sabotaged by his own arrogance. Still, his abilities are impressive, and being 100 years more advanced with technology is a significant advantage. That's why we can't rank Warp any lower. Up next is Dr. Light. Yes, the most pathetic villain in the series is not actually that weak. In fact, he was actually able to defeat 4 of the Titans and briefly was able to best even Raven. His abilities obviously stem from the light that comes from his suit, where he emits energy for both offense and defense. Not to mention he can also stun and trap his opponents. But his biggest drawback is his lack of wit and his tendency to gloat, which indicates he's more bark than bite. Which is a shame, because if he was as smart as he claims to be, he would have ranked much higher than this. Next, we move on to Mumbo. Being an evil magician, Mumbo's powers came first from his wand, and then later on from his hat. He can perform just about any magic trick to fight against the Titans, which makes him very unpredictable, yet non-threatening. But Mumbo's greatest power lies within his hat, for it contains a fabric of reality where Mumbo can form the world however he pleases. He was very close to defeating the Titans with this, but was outsmarted and outdone by Raven's own magic. Add to the fact that he is powerless without his hat and wand, and this is how high Mumbo can be ranked. Next is Trident. As a native Atlantean, Trident shares the same perks as Aqualad does, such as breathing underwater, being an adept swimmer, and enhanced strength. But he also possesses a trident, same to his name, that can emit potent energy as an attack. But Trident's unique power is being able to clone himself, which he used to try to make himself an army. A big downside to this, however, is that these clones had all of his traits, including his egomaniacal mindset. These factors were crucial to his defeat, and it's why we can't place Trident any higher. Next is Punk Rocket. Punk Rocket didn't get much screen time in the regular series, but he was prominently featured in the Lost episode. We see that he is actually a capable fighter, as he was briefly able to fight Robin on equal terms. However, Punk Rocket's true power comes from his guitar. He produced sound blasts so powerful that they were able to hold back energy blasts. But like any piece of technology, it has its limits, and Punk Rocket learned this the hard way. But because he was able to produce such powerful sound and also be a decent fighter, we can't place Punk Rocket any lower. Next, we have Red X. Though he's more of an anti-hero than a villain, Red X is still a formidable foe. His fighting skills and athletic prowess is roughly equal to Robin, which isn't too surprising because the latter was the one who originally dressed up in the persona. But Red X's suit and belt give him plenty of unique abilities, such as having gloves that make a variety of X-shaped weapons, being able to make portals, and can even teleport himself. We don't know for sure what his true identity is, but we do know that Red X has earned his high ranking here. Next is Kid Wicked. It might seem strange to place Kid Wicked this high, but make no mistake, his powers are very potent. Kid Wicked can teleport anywhere using his cape, and we don't need to tell you that teleportation is a very useful ability. He can also make a portal in order to access loot, and his cape is sharp enough to cut through even metal. Kid Wicked is strong enough that he was able to briefly clash with Raven, but the true extent of his power isn't well known. Yet Kid Wicked's abilities are too wicked to be placed any lower. Next is Slade. That's right, the primary antagonist of the series isn't even among the strongest of villains, but despite having no powers, Slade is still deadly in his own right. He has frequently bested Robin both in terms of physical strength and speed, and even martial arts. Slade also has access to plenty of weapons and advanced tech, particularly with robotic clones of himself. But Slade's greatest ability is his cunning and manipulation, for he effortlessly tricked, abused, and psychologically tortured his victims. Robin, Tara, and Raven bore the brunt of this trauma, and he rarely had to use physical force. But still, being a diabolical mastermind doesn't translate to pure strength. Slade did also gain powers when he served under Trigon, but that won't be counted here for obvious reasons. Slade may not be one of the strongest villains here, but he has done more than enough to earn this high ranking. The last villain in this tier is Madame Rouge. Madame Rouge's elastic abilities are truly astonishing because she takes the concept of stretching to a whole new level. She can extend her limbs at any length, and she can do so with incredible speed. Rouge's body is also extremely durable, and she is an incredible fighter. In addition to this, her other main ability is being able to shapeshift into whoever she wants and can replicate their voice to perfection. Rouge's main weakness is that she can easily be subdued by extreme temperatures. Madame Rouge isn't overwhelmingly strong either, but her insane abilities give her the edge over Slade and solidify her as a powerful antagonist. Finally, we've reached the most powerful villains. These are the characters that stand head and shoulders above everyone else. Starting off this tier, we have Mammoth. Mammoth's power is pretty straightforward, as he has always been the massive muscle of the Hive 5. His brute strength has regularly rivaled that of Cyborg, and he can make powerful seismic waves with just his fists. However, Mammoth was quickly defeated by Mother May-I, along with the rest of his team, and his human physique makes him more vulnerable to damage than some of the other big villains. Yet, Mammoth's physical power is too great for him to be ranked any lower. Next is Billy Numerous. Billy Numerous, as his name suggests, has the power to clone himself, and these clones possess his incredible strength, as they all succeeded in lifting up an entire bridge as a collective unit. Additionally, Billy and his clones were each able to lift heavier loot than even Mammoth could. The downside to this power is that he can overdo it, which causes the clones to go back into Billy and practically leave him defenseless. But Billy's cloning prowess and surprising strength are enough to place him this high. Next is Atlas. Atlas doesn't have any powers, but his pure metallic strength more than makes up for it. And unlike Adonis, Atlas's physical prowess is natural and doesn't have any ludicrous weaknesses. His body can withstand mostly any form of attack, and he initially had the upper hand over Cyborg. The main issue with Atlas is that he is incapable of upgrading or repairing himself, which wouldn't be that much of a problem if he wasn't so entitled and ungrateful. Yet Atlas is still too strong to place any lower. Next is Cinderblock. Cinderblock is a massive and sentient concrete creature who primarily serves as a powerful henchman to whoever acquires his services. He doesn't have any powers and is so stupid that he is unable to speak, despite having the vocal cords necessary to speak. That being said, Cinderblock's raw strength and his durable body means he is always a force to be reckoned with. While he was notably bested by Cyborg and Starfire, Cinderblock's physical power is enough to place him amongst the strongest of villains. Moving along, we arrive at Plasmus. Plasmus is a toxic monster whose brute strength and special abilities make him the strongest henchman in the series. He is capable of morphing his body to use as a weapon, and he can regenerate from just about any damage that's done to him. Plasmus was able to subdue the Titans, with the exception of Cyborg, and all of that was in his first form. In his new form, Plasmus gained the ability to spit acid at his opponents. Plasmus may not be powerful enough to truly defeat all 5 of the main Titans, but he is still a dangerous beast. Next is Mother May-I. Mother May-I is much more powerful than she may initially appear. She was able to effortlessly defeat the Hive 5 after she previously handicapped the Titans with magical clothes. May-I's magic is what makes her so powerful, as she can warp reality around herself and even make her own gingerbread army. She brainwashes her victims into showing her love because she is dependent on literally feasting on her victims' emotions by cooking them into a pie. May-I's abilities make her much more formidable than most of the other villains, which is why we can't rank her any lower. Up next is Brother Blood. Brother Blood's mental fortitude is truly on another level. His telepathy allows him to read anyone's mind, and he can mind control his opponents. His telekinesis allows him to move objects with his immense intellect, and he can even walk on water. Brother Blood also possesses incredible athleticism, can teleport himself anywhere, and he can emit blasts of his signature red energy. When he was turned into a cyborg, Brother Blood's strength and athleticism only increased, while his mental powers became even stronger. Brother Blood's powers place him well above the majority of the other villains. Only a select few of the antagonists can claim to be even stronger. Next is Blackfire. As Starfire's older sister, Blackfire possesses many similar abilities. As a native Tamaranian, she can fly at incredible speed, and her power is leagues stronger than that of the average human. However, unlike her sister and the majority of Tamaranians, Blackfire can emit purple energy blasts from her hands instead of green ones. She is also a considerably more experienced fighter than Starfire and knows a wide variety of martial arts. Blackfire also once possessed the Jewel of Charta, and it made her even stronger than her sister, but it won't be counted here. Though she was always bested by Starfire in combat, Blackfire is still an exceptionally powerful villain and did more than enough to earn the bronze medal. For the silver medal, we have Malchior. Malchior is a very old dragon that is a master of dark magic. Even in his weakest state, he was able to rewrite the content of the book he was trapped inside. And as a dragon, Malchior is truly on a higher echelon of power. Not only did he possess the physical power to manhandle all of the 5 titans with ease, but he was also able to withstand all forms of attack against him. The only times he was able to be defeated was when Raven put him back in the book by using Rorik's spell, and when he was sucked into a portal by the Herald using his magic trumpet. Despite that, Malchior clearly demonstrated that he was far too powerful to be defeated conventionally. There's only one villain in the series with even greater power, and we all know who he is. And the most powerful villain in Teen Titans is none other than Trigon. This really shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Trigon is the embodiment of pure evil, and his powers reflect his demonic nature. His brute strength alone outclasses that of his daughter and the rest of the Titans, but it is his magic that makes him a universal threat to all life. Trigon destroyed all of Azarath's dimension, can create his own demonic minions, turned almost all of Earth's living organisms into stone, and he recreated the Earth in his own image. He is also able to emit a deadly dose of red energy, protect himself with that same energy, he can revive anyone to be his minion, can summon a portal on a mere whim, and he is practically omnipotent. Honestly, he would have been able to win easily had he taken the Titans seriously and prevented them from getting to Raven. While his egocentric nature led to his epic defeat, Trigon is still far and away the strongest villain in the series, and it's not even close.